You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Goon podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, the Goon, and the man with the plan, Adam Schaum. We're bringing you the fantasy football knowledge that you need every single week.
Derrick Henry still going. Stays in bounds. He might go. 99 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable.
Flushed out again, all the way down. Turning the corner, fires downfield. Caught. Touchdown. Only Mahomes turns what might have been a 15-yard sack into a 27-yard touchdown.
Saquon Barkley across midfield, down the sideline, staying in bounds, and Barkley takes it all the way. 68 yards for his first NFL touchdown. McCaffrey right up the middle, and he is gone for the touchdown. 58 yards. And this is to Thomas. He's gone. Touchdown Saints.
Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job, the cut. Now, while I wasn't able to cut everyone I wanted to, I have cut a lot of you. Steven, I like your hustle. That's why it was so hard to cut you. Congratulations, the rest of you made the team. Except you, and you.
God bless fantasy football. There are many things a man can do with his time. And this, better than those things.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Fantasy Football Goon. I am your host, Joe Mandel, the Goon, and my two co-hosts are not with me today, so I'm riding solo. Adam Schaum, a little under the weather, so Adam, we are sending you best wishes so you're feeling better soon. And John Santucci, the Tooch, is in the Philippines, so little hard to do a show when you're that far away and the time zones are that different. So nonetheless, you guys are stuck with me this week. Just kidding. I'm happy to do it. Let's talk some fantasy football, guys. And anyone out there that's listening in the chat, get me your questions. I will answer them here on the show. But before we go any further, I got to say, there's no buys this week. It's weird. The buys start up again next week. I would unplug my headphones. They were charging. They don't need it anymore. But no buys on week 12. They do resume on week 13. So we don't have to worry about any bye weeks. Of course, we already had Thanksgiving games. But nonetheless, here we are. Our buddy Ron Rubnow in the chat. Good morning. Morning, Ron. Thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well, my friend. But let's dive headfirst into this week's starts and sits. And before we do, I want to briefly talk about the inactives list that came out because there's a couple big surprises. The hottest QB in fantasy, Justin Fields, officially inactive today for the Bears. So Trevor Siemian getting the start in his place. Probably not going to start Siemian, but you're definitely not going to start Fields. So that's an unfortunate thing. But there are some guys that you can look at as a replacement for Justin Fields, guys you can potentially grab off the waivers. One of them for me is a guy like Jimmy G against New Orleans. He might be available in your leagues. He might not. Siemian's not a horrible start. I don't love him. But there's just my big sleeper QB start of the week, which, spoiler alert, you'll get this later in the show as well. But Derek Carr available off waivers, so I could help you against Seattle today. He scored 21 fantasy points, I believe, in the last 2 games, maybe 3 games. May not be winning, but he's getting the job done in fantasy. So David Carr could be a guy to replace Justin Fields if you need that help. Other big inactives out today, just coming through. There is no Jamar Chase today for the Bengals, so unfortunately, if you don't have him at your disposal. No Raheem Mostert today for the Dolphins. Leonard Fournette officially inactive today for the Buccaneers. Same thing with Russell Gage, and no James Robinson for the Jets, who I want to notate here, he is a healthy scratch as well in that game, so that's interesting. No James Robinson on the docket today. But let's do a brief run through of the inactives before I get to my starts and sits. And if you guys have questions, get them from me here in the chat. But first game of the day, Falcons Commanders. No major fantasy names inactive there. Of course, for the Bears Jets game, we already talked about no Justin Fields, no N'Keal Harry there. Zach Wilson is inactive for that game, so he won't be getting the start. I mentioned James Robinson already, which is interesting. No Bryce Hall for them at corner either, so the Bears could have a good day in that respect. Ravens at Jaguars, no major fantasy names. So Darrell Henderson, who was just picked up by the Jaguars, inactive, but of course he won't be starting anytime soon. No Mike Davis for the Baltimore Ravens, but those weren't guys you were going to start anyway. And we already covered Raheem Mostert for Miami. That's a guy you're not going to have to worry about starting today. So all the big names are out there. We'll keep you updated for the inactives list as we go through the show. But let's dive first into my QB starts of the week. And I got to love here at the bottom of the screen, Tua Tagovailoa against Houston. Any guy that goes against the Houston Texans, especially an MVP caliber player as Tua has been this season, I have to love him today against that Houston secondary. So look for Tua to go off today, both with his legs and through the air. I think that game's going to be a blowout. The only thing you might have to worry about in this game is that Tua might not play in the fourth quarter or maybe halfway through the third, depending on how big of a blowout it is. But I guess we'll see there. I mentioned the other side of the ball in this game, but I love Geno Smith today against the Raiders. Their defense is absolutely horrendous, and Geno Smith has been the surprise of the fantasy season. I believe he's inside the top 10 at fantasy quarterback. Geno Smith against the Raiders. I love that play. I love also in this game both DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. You might hear me talk about one of those guys again later in the show. And I talked about Jimmy G in the open as a guy potentially on waivers. Probably not if you're in a good league, but if you're in a small league, you might have him available. New Orleans has been awful this year. Jimmy G is finally getting it together. That 49ers team is very dangerous offensively. So I love Jimmy G. I think they're going to terrorize the Saints today, both on the ground and in the air. CMC, I mean, it helps having CMC for all your stats. Christian McCaffrey doing it all as long as he's healthy. But, of course, there's no Adam and no Tooch, so I'm going to keep the show running with my running back starts of the week. And I'm going back to this Miami-Houston game. Jeff Wilson has been an absolute fantasy monster since joining his old coach in Miami. They're taking on Houston's horrendous run defense, and he's catching passes too. He's doing it all. Love Jeff Wilson today to finish inside the top 5 at running back. Same thing with Antonio Gibson. He's been really turning it on lately for the Commanders. Atlanta is, I believe, the worst rushing team in football. I had to double check the stats, but they're pretty darn close. So I'm going all day with my guy, Antonio Gibson. And this guy's more of a sleeper, but I do like him as a starter, which is why I don't have him listed as a sleeper. I like Latavius Murray today against Carolina. They were absolutely horrendous against the run. They let go of Melvin Gordon, so Latavius Murray is going to be the lead dog today against Carolina, the established veteran. I think you can get a solid 15 points out of Latavius Murray today, perhaps even more if they give him more carries. So Latavius Murray for me is a top 25 running back, and he's a guy that you're probably going to want to start, especially if you're in a 10 or 12-man league. So Latavius available on some waiver wires could help you out today. And by the way, get me your questions here in the chat. I'm going to add the banner to remind everybody, but we are answering all your questions. Hit us up here at Fantasy Football Goon. You hit me at Joe Mandel on Twitter, at FFB Goon. You can hit Adam at Papa Bear 816. He's a little under the weather, but he might answer a question here or there. So will I. And the Tooch is on vacation, so leave him alone. No, just kidding. I'm sure he wouldn't care either. But nonetheless, let's keep on trucking through our starts of the week. And I'm going to move into my wide receiver starts. And I'm going to Tampa Bay. Chris Godwin against the Cleveland Browns. Godwin has just been a PPR machine when healthy. He gets to go against Cleveland, who can't stop anybody, well, at least wide receiver-wise. So I think Chris Godwin absolutely goes off today against the Cleveland Browns. Tom Brady's been looking better as of late. They're finally starting to get it together. Their division's not good. It's the perfect scenario for Tom Brady and the Bucs to just kind of ride that roller coaster all the way up to a division title. They could sneakily sneak into the playoffs, and if they get everything going, this team is dangerous. So I think Chris Godwin's a big part of that puzzle, especially with Russell Gage out today. Chris Godwin was a must start. We've been talking about Brandon Ayuk every single week on this show. He gets to go against the hapless New Orleans defense that can't stop anybody. And let's be honest, he's getting looked at a lot by Jimmy G, and he's been explosive. So I'm a big fan of what we've seen from Brandon Ayuk, and I'm going to continue to talk about him moving forward. Ron, I see your question. I'm going to address it here in just a second after our wide receivers. And I talked about this guy at the top of the show, Tyler Lockett. I love him today as the deep threat against Las Vegas. They look lost out there defending. It's just a disaster with Josh McDaniels and that team. The guys in the Barfly Tailgate show before this were just saying it's a sinking ship that hit an iceberg, and then they were swimming for safety, and they got hit by sharks. That's how bad the Las Vegas Raiders are, and I fully agree. Tyler Lockett, the deep man, I say he has 2 long touchdowns today. Tyler Lockett over 100 yards and a score. You can absolutely book it today. He's a must start in my book. But let's get to our buddy Ron's question here in the chat. Does Elijah Mitchell have any fantasy value after they signed McCaffrey? The answer for you right now, Ron, is absolutely not. Do you stash him on your bench? Probably, because if Christian McCaffrey goes down, and we all know that there is a strong possibility of that, then you absolutely want to have Elijah Mitchell on your bench because he goes from being a bench warmer to being a top 20 running back, and that's something that you need. So I like Elijah Mitchell. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any value when McCaffrey is healthy. But you got to stash him. He's too valuable, I think, to drop unless you are in desperate need of making the playoffs and your team is just not cutting it. I would hold on to Mitchell if you could. So great question, Ron. I appreciate it, bud. But let's continue. I was talking wide receiver starts. I'm going to make my way to my tight end starts of the week. And here we go. I got to talk about my guy, Gerald Everett. He is questionable into this game. He's a little banged up, but if he plays, and you're going to want to keep an eye on it, if he does play, Gerald Everett is a must start against Arizona. They are a horrible defense. They cannot defend against the tight end. And, Gerald Everett is going to be out there to catch some passes. Mike Williams, questionable going into this game. So if he's out and Everett's in, Everett's going to see a big bump there. I really like Everett. I like tight ends in general when against Arizona because they can't defend them. So if he plays, Gerald Everett is a must-start option. Austin Hooper, for me, is the huge reason that Ryan Tannehill has turned it around as of late. He's getting open. He's catching everything thrown his way, and he's getting targeted heavily. He's getting targeted between 7 and 9 targets a game. You can't ask for anything better than that. Cincinnati, not great against the tight end. I love Austin Hooper today. And this is a guy you can pick up off of waivers right now and plug him in. I'd say Hooper is guaranteed for at least 6 catches today. I'm going to say he scores a touchdown, but even with the 6 catches alone, he's worth a start, especially a tight end, which we all know is an absolute wasteland. And I'm going to go with Pat Freiermuth, the only guy that I really love on the Steelers. I love Deontay Johnson. I just don't love him today because he's not going to be able to get open. But Pat Freiermuth is the emergency safety blanket, and he catches ball after ball. So he is my third fantasy tight end start of the week. And Ron wants to know, with Fields out, does Kmet have a big game? Ron, it's such a big question mark for me, man. I would usually say yes, but with Simeon coming in, I don't exactly know how he's going to run this team. I think they might lean on Kmet to be a blocking tight end today. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see Kmet go crazy, especially against this Jets defense. But for me, I think Kmet, if I'm leaning on the side of caution, I would bench him today, especially with the new quarterback. As I mentioned in my other starts of the week, a guy like Austin Hooper, you can potentially pick up off of waivers, and I think I like him better than I would like Kmet without Fields. So Hooper against Cincinnati, he's been getting it done. So that would be my recommendation for you. I don't know if this is the league you share with me or if it's your family league, but I just can't start Kmet this week. It's a big question mark without Fields. Maybe Simeon leans on him as a safety blanket, but I don't know. It's a big question mark for me, and I'm not taking that risk. So that's just where I fall on it, but I appreciate the question, Ron. Good question. Let's get into my defensive starts of the week. And a couple of these, well, probably 2 of them you can pick off waivers. You got the Dolphins against Houston. They're not going to be available on waivers, but anytime a team plays Houston, as you've seen with all my picks today, you're going to fire them up. They recently had a QB change in Houston. The Dolphins like to feast on quarterbacks. They love interceptions late in the game. The Dolphins are going to be trailing. They're going to have to throw a lot, which leads to a lot of sacks, which leads to potential more interceptions. You name it, the Dolphins for me are probably the top fantasy start of the week, for me anyway. Then I'm going to pick on the Broncos here. Their defense has been pretty solid throughout the course of the year. It's just been the offense that hasn't been holding up their end of the bargain. So Carolina has been hapless as well. The offense is shaky at best. They can't get it done. DJ Moore continues to be shut down against good defenses. The Broncos are a good defense, and I love the Broncos today. You can pick them off waivers and feel good about it. I think they're good for at least 8 to 10 fantasy points today. You'll take that all day, every day from your defense. And the Chiefs against the Rams. The Rams are just continue to be banged up. They are not good offensively. They can't get it done. They just disappoint week after week. The Chiefs defense has been flying around the field. They're going after the quarterback, and that's what you need. So I think the Chiefs are a top 10 fantasy play today, and I would take a chance on them today. I think I might do it myself in one of my leagues. So I don't have any problems with that. Sorry, guys. One-man show doing all the talking definitely requires a lot more saliva in your mouth. Anyway, any questions here in the chat? We are answering all questions throughout the course of the show. And I'm slowly turning into Batman as I continue to talk. But let's dive into my sleeper starts of the week. And I mentioned it at the top of the show. I love Derek Carr today against the Seattle Seahawks. He's been slowly getting it done. Granted, they're not winning games, but he's getting it done offensively. He's had about, 21 fantasy points in 2 or 3 straight games. Seattle, not great against the pass. Derek Carr, I like him today. You could pick him up off waivers, and I bet you can probably book yourself a good 20, 25-point fantasy day. And for someone that you're getting off waivers, you could help replace a guy like Justin Fields, who you lost. I think Carr has a nice day at the office. Kenyon Drake against Jacksonville. Somebody's got to get it done for the Ravens. Granted, we do have Gus Edwards as active today, so you're going to see him play, but I think Drake is still going to get enough workload to be worth a fantasy start, especially from a sleeper perspective. Look for Drake to catch 2 or 3 passes, probably rush for about 50-ish yards. So for a fantasy sleeper, that's all you could ask for. Probably good for at least 10 points. And then I got a receiver here for the Cleveland Browns that just continues to get it done week after week. I'm finally putting him in my sleeper section. Donovan Peoples-Jones for the Browns, going up against Tampa Bay. He just gets open, and he's being looked at heavily. He's a reliable target for Jacoby Brissett, and this is a guy that's a red zone threat. He's scoring touchdowns. He's catching passes. So for me, Donovan Peoples-Jones is worth a start as a flex today, even against Tampa Bay's defense. He gets open, and he's in the middle of the field. I like Donovan Peoples-Jones to score a touchdown and go for about 80 yards, maybe 90 yards today. If we're lucky, he'll cross 100, but I think he sticks closer to 80, 85 yards. That's all you can ask for a sleeper. And then for a tight end, I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson for the Saints, going against the 49ers. Listen, this is a big target. He's a big man. He catches passes. He is a safety blanket, which the Saints need badly. Johnson's going to have a touchdown today, about probably 60 yards receiving and a touchdown. I love that for a fantasy tight end. That's all you could ask for. If we're lucky, he scores 2 red zone scores, but I think he's going to have 1 touchdown. Johnson has been one of those sneaky guys you can grab off waivers. So if you need some help, you can lean right there. Let's get to some of our questions. Travis, Colts or Dolphins D, currently starting Colts. Travis, you just missed it. The Dolphins D is my top fantasy start of the week. Anybody going against Houston, especially with a brand new quarterback, I think you got to go with the Dolphins here. They are my start of the week, and I think they're going to reward you for having giving them a start. They're going to score some big points. Big points, baby. So look at the Dolphins D to get this stuff done against the Houston Texans. Lovie Smith is going to be having nightmares about those Dolphins defenders today. Come back at me if I mess you up, Travis, but I think the Dolphins go crazy today. My co-host, Adam Schaum, under the weather, like I mentioned at the top of the show. Hoping you're feeling better, buddy. He says, appreciate the goon, bringing the knowledge this morning as the true workhorse today. I'm not the workhorse, buddy. You are. You're the one under the weather, and and trying to fight through it, man. So hope you feel better soon. And hopefully you get some fantasy victories today. I don't know if we play each other this week, Adam. I actually have to look now. I've not even looked at my lineups. I should probably do that. I did it on Thanksgiving, but I haven't gone back since. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving to all you guys out there. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. And we are playing each other, Adam. I didn't realize that. In the Goon League, I am giving you a whooping right now. But you still have some chance, some guys to come back. I was fortunate enough to have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ramondre Stevenson, Saquon Barkley, and the Bills defense all on Thanksgiving. So I've got a 45-point lead or so on Adam, but I'm sure it's going to come back and bite me in the butt for saying that I'm giving you a whooping. So Josh Allen, solid 33.92 points. I'm going to get killed now. It's my fault. Travis says, get well, Adam, to which Adam responds, thanks, Travis. Yeah, Joe, you got a good jump on me on Thursday, Joe. Well, there's a lot of football left to happen on this Fantasy Sunday. It's amazing how you fly through things with your starts and sits as a one-man show as opposed to either two or three. So I'm already through my sleeper starts. I want to go back to my sleepers so I can let Adam take a peek at them. But love Derek Carr against Seattle. Kenyon Drake against Jacksonville as a secondary option. I know Edwards is back, but like Drake, Donovan Peoples-Jones, been a PPR machine, and Jawan Johnson at tight end. Both Peoples-Jones, Drake, and Johnson all probably available on waivers, even potentially Derek Carr. These are guys that can help you today, right now. We talked about sleepers. Let's go to my sits. That's not my sits that I entered in earlier. So let me go ahead and grab my sits. Thank goodness. Oh, maybe it is. Well, I listed Jared Goff as a sit for some reason, even though he has already played. So forget that. But let's go to the rest of my sits. Cam Akers today against Kansas City. Listen, Cam Akers, now he's the lead dog for the Rams. Their offense is hapless. They can't get it done. Even as the lead back, I don't love it. Kansas City's shutting down the box. They're going to make the Rams throw, which, as we know, is not going to end well. I do not like Cam Akers this week. Don't really love the Rams offense in general. DJ Moore, I mentioned it with the Denver defense as a great start. They're shutting down. Good defense has shut down DJ Moore. He's not getting open. They don't have time to get him the ball. I just cannot stand DJ Moore right now because he's the only weapon they have, and other defenses know that. The good defenses do, which Denver, to me, is a good defense, even though their offense stinks. So for me, DJ Moore has to sit on the bench this week, not loving it. And then the red zone threat for the Green Bay Packers, Robert Tonyan. Philly is one of the best teams. I believe they're number one against the tight end. I'd have to double-check that stat. I know I was looking at it earlier. But they're one of the best teams in the league against the tight end. Robert Tonyan doesn't do good when he is being heavily covered, which I believe he will be today. Tonyan is kind of the secret to the Packers winning this game, and I don't think that the Eagles are going to let him beat them. So for me, Robert Tonyan has to sit on the bench. He is a must-sit for me. And we are getting tons and tons and tons of questions here in the chat. Adam also agrees with me. He loves Donovan Peoples-Jones today. I do as well. He's available in almost all leagues. Now I'm tempted to go pick him up in my league with Adam Rank from the NFL Network. My team's not great in that league. Injuries kind of decimated me, but I do like Peoples-Jones. Travis points out I have 70-point lead on a guy already, but he's got Mahomes, Henry, and Kelsey. So let's hope for the best. Yeah, Travis, that's tough. Hopefully that 70-point lead helps you. It certainly doesn't hurt. So let's go with that. Good luck there. Sears has a question here. P-Ryan or Ayuk this week? Full PPR. Thank you. For me, it's absolutely Brandon Ayuk. He has just been absolutely phenomenal. I don't know what we're going to see out of P-Ryan today. I think you're going to see a lot of Joe Burrow throwing, and I don't think P-Ryan's going to catch a lot of passes. So for me, for volume, I'll go with Ayuk, especially because I think he's going to catch more balls. So take it for a grain of salt, but I do like Ayuk better. And if you're still with us, Ron Rupp now, Adam mentions he likes Elijah Moore as a possible sleeper. You know, I told him that he doesn't have much fantasy value with a healthy – Elijah Moore. Sorry, not Mitchell. Sorry, I do like Elijah Moore as a possible sleeper as well. I'm thinking about the wrong Elijah. But, yeah, The Bears defense, not good. Semien, I mentioned before, if you have Cole Kmet, I would lean on the side of caution and I'd bench Kmet today, but he might be a safety blanket for Semien, but I think they might lean on Kmet to block. Adam Rosen, out of deep league waiver wire options, who are you picking to have a good week? We talked about Donovan Peoples-Jones. I know he is totally going to be available in almost all leagues. At tight end, I'm going to go with Jawan Johnson from the New Orleans Saints. This is a guy that's available. He's a red zone threat, a safety blanket, and he's available in a lot of leagues, can help you out today. So those are two guys I would really look at. Josh Palmer, if he happens to be available for the Los Angeles Chargers, he could help you guys out, especially if our guy Mike Williams is inactive today. So that's a way you could lean. So you can tell me, Adam, if you're still in the chat, let me know who's available in your league. Maybe we can help you with some waiver wire options. So let us know what you're looking for. Travis says he's starting Michael Carter over Cam Akers. I agree. I think Carter has a good day today. And Cam Akers, that Rams offense looks really lost. And Cam Akers isn't the answer, and the Rams aren't going nowhere. So I agree with that, Travis. Marcos, thanks for tuning in again, buddy. Always appreciate it. Half point PPR, Jonathan Taylor, Walker, ETN, start 2. Oh, man, that is tough. ETN, not a great matchup. Walker, pretty decent matchup, and Taylor doesn't have a great matchup either. But for me, I think Jonathan Taylor is the most likely to have multiple touchdowns out of this group today. So for me, I would probably stick with Jonathan Taylor just because of upside, especially because they're starting to turn it around offensively a little bit on the Colts. So I'd say go with Taylor. It's not an easy decision, but for me, Taylor's got the most upside. And never mind, there is no Semien starting. According to Adam, we have Peterman starting over Semien today, which I think is baffling. According to Adam, Semien hurt his oblique. So now you're definitely not starting Cole Kmet. You're definitely not starting Cole Kmet. I don't know if I trust any Bears wide receivers at this point. So that's going to be spooky. It's going to be really spooky. Ron Ruppnow wants to know, once eliminated from the playoffs, do you think people should continue to put out the best team or give up better players? Or so better playoff teams can grab them? No, you have to continue to put out the best effort, in my opinion, Ron, because the worst thing is like giving teams a pass that play you every week to continue winning. Continue winning. You want to play the spoiler. You want to knock guys out of the playoffs. You got to have some personal pride. So for me, once you're eliminated, I think you still play the game. It's just the right thing to do. So that's my 2 cents. Adam responded, really thin waiver wire. Alec Pierce, Zay Jones, Demarcus Robinson are my best option. I don't dislike Zay Jones. I'm curious, Adam, who you have starting at wide receiver, but Zay Jones isn't a horrible play, but it depends on who your other wide receivers are. I can definitely let you know. Well, and look at this. Adam talking about Zay Jones, Elijah Moore, check for Rashad White. Zay Jones available? I agree. It's funny. I just said that. I think Zay Jones is a great play. Tell me, Adam, Adam Rosen, tell me who your other starters are. I think Zay Jones is worth a play today. I really do. I'm a big fan of what we've seen out of him, and he's slowly turning it around. That whole offense is. So let me know, Adam Rosen. But we both like Zay Jones today. We're aligned there. Travis said, since he hurt his oblique, I don't think I'll be watching this game today. Yeah, it's going to be bad. I should go put some money on the Jets to win big now. I wish I had some money on my DraftKings account. I do not. And Adam says, only Montgomery worth starting for the Bears, and I totally agree. I'm not touching anybody else in this game. If he can get some holes, Montgomery might rush for 200 today, but I doubt that. Adam says, I have Mike Williams, wide receiver 2, and he's out, so I'm looking for a replacement. I need the boom play. Give me your best prediction. For me, it's Zay Jones. I think Zay Jones could go off today and have a big day. Curious if you have like a Pickens or a Pacheco but I doubt it on waivers. I see you have Randall Cobb as well. No, I like Zay Jones over Randall Cobb out of all those guys you talked about. Jones has been pretty solid. I'm pulling up right now his fantasy stats real quick. So Zay Jones over the last he's averaging about 6 targets a game. So to start the season, 9 targets game 1, 4 targets game 2, then 11 targets, 8 targets, 5 targets, 10. Against Denver, only 3, but we know Denver's got a good defense. And then against Vegas, he had 5 targets. Kansas City, he had 10 targets. So against teams that are bad against the pass, he's averaging between 8 and 9 targets a game. I think Zay Jones is a must start today against Baltimore. Definitely as a flex, and for you with tough sledding on waivers, I think you give him a go. Yes, Ron Rupp now. Pick up the Jets defense if they're available. I totally agree with you there, my friend. I think the Jets are going to have a fun day defensively. This is going to be interesting. I have Amari Cooper. Yeah, I don't really have anyone else I would look at potentially benching there, but oh man. Am I that stuck at tight end? I got Trey McBride starting. What is wrong with me? I got to get some help on waivers. I think Everett's got to get plugged in for me. Looks like Gerald Everett is officially active. He's cleared to go. Breaking news, Gerald Everett officially cleared to play today. So if you have Gerald Everett, he is a must start today against the Arizona defense. They are absolutely horrendous. And Adam is in line with me. He says he'd go with Zay Jones, and I totally agree there. Mac Hollins on waiver 2. Ride with Zay Jones. I say ride with Zay Jones, man. Looking at the stats, it's kind of eye-opening. If it's a good defense, he has between 3 and 5 targets. If it's a bad defense, he has between 9 and 10 targets. So I'm going with Zay Jones. And as Adam pointed out, every single tight end scores against Arizona. So with Gerald Everett active, he is officially a must start, and he is top 5 tight end for me. I'm very happy because I would have been stuck with the other tight end in that game, Trey McBride, who I don't dislike. He's a guy on waivers that can help you out as well as the new Zach Ertz. I believe he had 4 targets and 4 catches last week. So Trey McBride could be helpful down the line if you need a stash. So Adam, if your league is very deep and you need a help at tight end, Trey McBride, he's kind of on the up and up. I mean, he got me enough points to pull off a victory last week. I think I needed 4 points. I think I got 6 out of him at tight end. It's not horrible. Adam says, counting on you. I need this for the playoff push. Well, one thing you can book today, Adam, and you can come back at me and beat me up if I'm wrong, but Zay Jones is going to have at least 8 targets today. So in fantasy, that's if you get 8 targets, you're worth a start. And Baltimore's secondary, iffy. They've been giving up a lot of big plays this year. You saw that Miami game where they came back. It's going to happen. So I like Zay Jones a lot today. All right, Caballo's in the chat. He wants to know, please convince me not to start Michael Carter over Nick Chubb. I'm begging you. Oh, man. Well, I especially like Michael Carter a lot more now. I have a hard time benching Nick Chubb in any capacity. I really do. I think he's got a lot of upside. So I can't tell you to start Michael Carter over Nick Chubb. I wouldn't. But I do think Michael Carter is worth a start as a flex today. Nick Chubb is a solid option always. I don't like Kareem Hunt because ever since he's been demanding a trade, he's been barely involved at all. I'm stuck starting Hunt in one league because there's no one available. But I'd say no, start Nick Chubb over Michael Carter. Curious what the rest of your team looks like, Caballo. Let me know. So let me know. And as Adam points out, you can't bench Chubb, but Carter is in line for a huge game. White checks down to running back like crazy, and Robinson is out. Yeah, and Adam, by the way, healthy scratch for James Robinson. I'm a little confused by that. I don't know if they're having issues with him or what, but they made a trade for him, and they really haven't really utilized him the way I thought they would. But Caballo, let me know in the chat who else you got at running back, who you got at flex. I think Michael Carter is in line for a big day. Adam and I agree. But you can never bench Chubb. And Adam doesn't get the healthy scratch for James Robinson either. I don't as well. I really don't. As we mentioned at the top of the show, I don't know if you guys are in the know or not, but Darrell Henderson picked up. Why am I drawing it? He got picked up by the Jaguars, but he is not. He's not playing today. Obviously, he's got to learn the playbook. But Darrell Henderson could be an interesting look the rest of the year, especially with their offense. Etienne, I don't know, maybe just someone to stash in a deep league. Adam Rosen here, if you have a need for a running back, Darrell Henderson, the Jaguars, they might utilize him. We'll see once he learns the playbook, but I just want to put that out there. So I got through my starts, my sits, my benches. That's the same thing as a bench. My sleepers. I got through everything. I've been answering questions here in the chat. I'll keep things rolling here for a few more minutes, guys. So keep those questions coming. We're answering them all. I'm going to need some chapstick after this bad boy. Hold up. But Adam, I'm glad you're feeling well enough to at least hang out in the chat room a little bit. Miss talking with you, but I know you're under the weather, and that's never any fun. Ron wants to know thoughts on Cordero Patterson. Sleeper says he is hard to trust. It is a bit hard to trust him today. Atlanta has to go against Washington, and they're really good against the run. I think that's going to be a low-scoring game. I really do. It depends who your other options are, Ron. I think he's going to get volume. He's always good to get some volume. But last week he had to rely on a big kick return to get people fantasy points. He had a decent game otherwise. So for me, the Commanders are really good defensively, especially against the run. So I'm not trusting Patterson unless you don't have any better options. So Ron, if you're there in the chat still, let me know who you have and who you could potentially play over Patterson, because I'm happy to walk you through that. That's a great question. Patterson has been great when he's active, even if it's in special teams, but I think that's going to be a low-scoring game today in Atlanta. I really do. I think if there are going to be points, it's going to be the Commanders scoring them and not Atlanta. John wants to know, are you starting Miles Sanders or Boyd PPR? Oh, man. I like them both. The problem that I have here is that Miles Sanders is so inconsistent, right? He's boom or bust. And you're like, is today going to be the day that he goes boom against Tennessee? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong game. I'm looking at the Cincinnati game. Cincinnati's got Tennessee, so I like Boyd in that matchup. Philly, oh no. Geez, sorry. My computer just completely crashed for a second. I'm back. But no, I was trying to find this Philly game. So Philadelphia guys, is going against Green Bay, right? So, Green Bay's run defense, okay. But I think for me, I'd much rather go with the upside of Boyd against the horrible Tennessee secondary. He's been playing really well. Last week was a bit of a down game because, they were doing all kinds of other stuff. But for me, I would take Boyd. Man, is it close. It's a bit of a coin flip. But I like Boyd better. My co-host Adam completely agrees. He'd go with Boyd. So great question, John. But I'd go with Boyd. Jason wants to know, Latavius Murray or Montgomery PPR? If you're talking about David Montgomery, I would absolutely go with David Montgomery today because the third-string quarterback is now starting for the Bears, and Montgomery is going to be the safety blanket. He is going to be running all day. He's going to be the only Bear that I would touch with a 10-foot pole. So assuming you're talking about David Montgomery, Jason, so just confirm that for me. But if you're talking about David Montgomery, absolutely got to start that Montgomery today against the Jets. He's going to be their only weapon. I do love Latavius Murray against Carolina, though. They cut Melvin Gordon. He's the established veteran there, and Carolina sucks against the run. I think Latavius Murray is worth a flex start today as well. But I would say definitely Montgomery over Murray. And Jason confirms he is talking David Montgomery, so absolutely got to go with David Montgomery there. But great question there, Jason. I appreciate it. Ron says, I've got Carter, Akers, Mitchell, and Patterson. So I would say Carter's worth a start today. And between Mitchell, Patterson, and Akers, man, it's gonna be tough sledding for Patterson, Mitchell, and Akers. But if I had to pick, I'd say Carter and Akers because Akers is the lead. But I don't love any of those guys other than Carter. I think Carter has a great day today. John says, thanks, guys. No problem, John. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Always do. We're here every single Sunday before kickoff. Happy to help you answer some questions. So keep those questions coming here, guys. I'm going to go for about 10 minutes more or so. Adam fully agrees. Carter easy. Yeah, Carter definitely is the starter there. And then out of the other three, I'd say probably go with Akers. You know, Ron, that's a tough question. I don't love any of the other three, but I'd go Akers over Patterson. I don't think that the Falcons are going to have much room to do anything today. But keep those questions coming here in the chat, guys. I appreciate all the likes. And if you can mash that subscribe button, it would absolutely mean a lot to me, my co-host, Adam Schaum, and my other co-host, John Santucci, the Tooch. Always appreciate those guys. Ryan solo today, but that's all right. Answering fantasy questions like one we just got here in the chat from Spubsby. Elijah Moore or Mac Hollins in PPR? Oh, man. I like Elijah Moore today. I think he's a good sleeper start against the Bears. I think I would ride Elijah. I'd ride him and see how things go. They're going to be up big, I think, against the Bears, who are with their third string quarterback today. Unexpectedly, might I add. I don't even know how many reps he got with the first team offense. Probably not many at all, but I'd say Elijah Moore. My co-host Adam wants to know rest of the season, Carter or Pacheco. I'm going to go with Michael Carter. I like him the rest of the way. Pacheco seems to have Jerick McKinnon getting involved here and there, but I like Carter. I think he's got the higher upside. So that's the way I'm going. I don't know if you agree or not, Adam. Let me know in the chat. Spudsby says, thank you. You are very welcome. Appreciate you tuning in. John wants to know, any waiver wire QBs you like a lot with Fields out? Russ, Heineke, Brissett, Tannehill. Is by chance Derek Carr available, John? I was talking a little bit earlier at the top of the show that I love Derek Carr today against the Seahawks. Let me know what you think. Out of those four, Tannehill has been looking better. But out of those four, I think you got to go with Heineke. Atlanta's defense is absolutely horrible. I do like Heineke today to air it out against Atlanta. So out of those four, let's go with Heineke. I'd say take a ride on him. I think he's been balling out when he's playing bad defenses, and they don't get much worse than the Atlanta Falcons. So take a ride, take a chance on Heineke. John says it's a super dry league. There's no Derek Carr available. That's okay. No worries. So, John, take a ride on Heineke, see what happens. I like him today. I do. I would start him, in a deep league, which it appears that you're in. So, go with it. No Fields, obviously, so take a shot. Spubsby, with that in mind, the Jets' defense against the Bears or the Chiefs against the Rams? It's ironic, Spubsby, because when I did my starts and sits, I talked about how I love the Chiefs today against the Rams. And as I found out that the Jets are playing the third string quarterback for the Bears, I really like the Jets defense now. The Bears are going to be really one-dimensional today, as the Rams are as well. But I think I would take a shot on the Jets here. The third string quarterback, they're not going to be able to throw very much. This guy doesn't have much experience with the offense. Could lead for a lot of miscommunication, a lot of turnovers, even a pick six or fumble recoveries for touchdowns. So I would take a ride on and give a shot to the Jets. So that's just my 2 cents there. Angel wants to know, pick one, wide receiver, Godwin, Lockett, CJ Watson. For me, it's 100% Godwin. Godwin has been unbelievable when he goes against defenses that are not great. That's my nice way of saying that the Cleveland defense is bad and they're not good at all. So I think Chris Godwin has a huge day, goes absolutely bonkers. So you got to start Chris Godwin today. With that said, I love I love Tyler Lockett as a wide receiver too. So if you have any way to start both of them, I would. But if you have to pick one, I'm going Godwin. Spubsby, thanks again. Good luck today. Yeah, good luck to you, man. Appreciate you tuning in and asking questions. Always appreciate it. Angel wants to know, for kicker, suck up or gold? I have a very close matchup, usually run with suck up, but concerned over whether. Yeah, I had that same dilemma as well. I had suck up in a couple leagues, but I think the 49ers are going to score some serious points today against the Saints. I think they're going to have to lean on Robbie Gould a decent amount. I hate saying to drop a kicker for the Buccaneers because he always kicks field goals, but I am concerned a little bit by the weather today as well. I have Gold ranked slightly higher than Suck Up this week, so I would go with Gold. Bob Jimmy, who do I start? Garrett Wilson, Josh Palmer, Mike Evans, Devontae Smith, Hollywood Brown, Christian Watson, Paris Campbell, full PPR, pick 3. It's really weird to say this, but I love Paris Campbell. He has been a PPR machine when healthy, and they are utilizing him as such. So for me, you're definitely starting Paris Campbell. There's no Mike Evans, so Josh Palmer is again going to be a huge weapon for the Chargers. So I'm definitely going Josh Palmer, Paris Campbell. And then where do I land here with the last start? It's tough to say. For me, it's between Devontae Smith and Mike Evans. Devontae going up against Green Bay secondary, not good. Mike Evans going up against Cleveland secondary, not good. It's a bit of a toss-up for me. It's a bit of a coin flip. I am personally going to go Mike Evans because he's a red zone threat. He's the big man. He gets a lot of red zone targets. I think Tampa Bay is going to live in the red zone in this game, which means Mike Evans has a chance to have 1 or 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to go and lean towards the side of touchdowns. I'm going to go with Mike Evans, Josh Palmer, Paris Campbell. My co-host Adam is in the chat somewhere. I'm feeling under the weather, but Adam, let me know if you agree here. But that's quite a selection of wide receivers there, Bob Jimmy. Love it. So, again, I know it's not the popular picks, but Josh Palmer, Mike Evans, Paris Campbell, for me, that's where I'm going here. I think that'll help you take you to victory this week. Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to pull up Paris Campbell's fantasy stats because I'm actually pretty impressed with what I've seen from him. He's the only guy in the league named Paris. No, he's not. He's with that spelling anyway. There's 2 R's in Paris. So going to the game log. So we've seen for Paris Campbell since week 6, this is his targets per game: 11, 12, 2 against Washington, good defense; 5 against New England, good defense; 9 against Vegas; 6 against Philly. So anytime he's been against a very bad defense, which is equivalent of Pittsburgh today, you get, so that would be like against a bad defense like Jacksonville, 11 targets; Tennessee, 12 targets. I think you're going to see at least 9 to 10 targets today for Paris Campbell against Pittsburgh. That's the way I'm going. And my co-host Adam slightly disagrees. He's got 2 out of the 3 as me: Evans, Palmer, and Smith. He's going to go with Smith over Campbell. It's close for me, but I like Paris Campbell against Pittsburgh. He has been a machine, and I've called Paris Campbell a league winner for people because of the amount of targets he's getting and the way they're using him now. And I'm going to stand by that. But, Adam and I are close. Definitely Palmer and Evans. Coin flip between Smith and Campbell. Yeah, exactly. Bob Jimmy's saying Evans and Palmer for sure. I'm debating the third now. Yeah, for me, it's Paris Campbell. The guy's a league winner in my opinion. But you can't go wrong with Devontae Smith either against Green Bay. Great matchups for both of these guys. And, it's easy pickings there. I think either guy, they're going to have similar outputs, I think. Max Hunt, Amari Cooper, or Monty, full PPR. Oh, man. That is tough. I love Amari Cooper today, but I love Monty now. Monty is going to be the only weapon for the Bears. They have the third-string quarterback starting now because of an injury to Trevor Siemian. Oh, man. Can you start them both, Max? I would love to be able to start them both because Amari is a PPR machine as well. But you're going to see a lot of chuck downs to Monty. If you have to pick between the two, I would go Monty, but I don't like having to pick between these two. I'd have them I'd start both of them if you can. Let me know who else you can start. Dan, Cortland Sutton against Carolina. I love Cortland Sutton against Carolina. Their secondary sucks. Sutton's going to have to get open in the middle of the field. So, I love Cortland Sutton today against Carolina, so you got to start him. And as I was talking about with Trey, Adam agrees. Nice problem, Trey. Yeah, you got so many good receivers to choose from. Picking between Campbell and Devontae Smith is not an easy choice today. Consistency throughout the year, it's Devontae Smith. But if you're going with the guy with the hot hand now, it's Karis Campbell. Nonetheless, great problem to have. Trey, what's up, buddy? Appreciate you tuning in. Full PPR, bench 1, ETN, Jeff Wilson, Rashad White. I want to roll them out, but my CMC is my running back 2. Thanks and good luck. Well, Jeff Wilson for me is my start of the week. I think he goes absolutely bonkers today. Jeff Wilson needs to be in that starting lineup. Between White and ETN, man, that's a coin flip for me, man. But if I had to pick one myself, I would go with Jeff Wilson and ETN. I just think ETN will have a little bit of a better day, but it's a coin flip. But having CMC and Jeff Wilson in your lineup alone this week should be enough to win your matchup. So the other one is just bonus at this point. Michael Carter or Boyd, full PPR. I'm going with Tyler Boyd. Cincinnati, great matchup today. Cincinnati, and by the way, there is no Jamar Chase today. I think you guys know that already, but going up against Tennessee, secondary, very, very weak. I think Tyler Boyd has a huge day. I do like Michael Carter too, though. If there's a way you could start him as a flex, I would do that too, but I know you probably have a stacked lineup already, Trey. So, and as Adam said, probably White out, but I like him a lot today too. Yeah, I mean, again, that's a bit of a coin flip there, but either way, I think your team is going to be just fine with Jeff Wilson and CMC. You're probably already won your matchup, let's be honest. Hayden wants to know, Aaron Jones, Michael Carter, Rashad White, pull PPR. I think people are might not agree with me here, but I love Michael Carter today against the Bears. I think he is better than these two guys, and I think he could easily be over 100 yards with 1 or 2 touchdowns. So Michael Carter for me is the easy start here. The Packers don't know how to use Aaron Jones. It's confusing to me when you have a back of his caliber. But the Jets know how to use Michael Carter. At least right now they do. So I'll go with Michael Carter here. Kamara against the 49ers or Garrett Wilson or Boyd or Hollywood. So Homer Simpson, nice. Am I only picking one here? Let me know. Let me know if there's only one guy. It sounds like you want me to pick one. As we mentioned, it's really, really hard to bench Alvin Kamara. But in this scenario, I might go with Tyler Boyd. I don't think I would usually tell anyone to bench Kamara, but I've not loved what I've seen out of the Saints lately. I don't know. Adam Schaum, co-host, let me know if you disagree with me, but I think I'm going to go with Boyd over Kamara today. Kamara has been a massive disappointment for me. The Saints in general are bad. So, yeah, half-point PPR too. Yeah, especially with it being half-point. See, Adam disagrees with me. I knew he would say that. You got to play Kamara. No, it's tough. It's tough. Kamara, you're reliant on a touchdown in a half-point PPR league. I think Boyd more likely to score today than Kamara. Kamara has been, Let's pull up his fantasy stats over the last couple of weeks. That's what I've been doing this show. I'm by myself. I might as well. So let's pull up our buddy Alvin and the Chipmunks. Yeah, okay. Last 3 weeks against good defenses, and the 49ers are a very good defense. Baltimore, great against the run. 9 fantasy points. He had 9 carries for 30 yards and 3 catches for 32 yards. Against Pittsburgh, not even that good of a defense. 7.5 fantasy points, 8 rushes for 26 yards, 3 catches for 19 yards. Last week against the Rams, who are good defense against the run. 12 carries for 42 yards, 4 catches for 47 yards. The 49ers are a better defense than the Steelers and the Rams. So I am benching Alvin Kamara in this scenario for Tyler Boyd. I know I'm insane, but take it as you will, Homer. Dope. Drew Sims, Debo, Kamara, P. Ryan at flex. Choose one. Oh man, P. Ryan's going to see a lot of movement today. Debo is really hard to bench in my opinion, and as I just hated on Kamara, I'm going Debo here. He's got a lot of upside. I hate to say it. I hate saying to bench Kamara, but I don't love what they've been doing against good defenses, and the 49ers are a very good defense. Yeah, Adam, I know you disagree with me, but the stats just don't lie for me against good defenses, and Kamara is just not getting it done. I think it's just the Saints in general. They suck. But, guys, we've taken you up just about to kick off. I'm going to close out the show here in the next 2 minutes. If you have a last-minute question, get it to me right now here in the chat. I will answer it in the next 2 minutes, and then we are going to get out of here and let you guys get ready for kickoff. And I'm going to go get on with my day, and you guys are going to go get on with yours. So keep on keeping on, everybody. I'll give you another quick minute if anyone else has got a question. But thank you to everybody for tuning in today to Fantasy Football Goon. I'm your host, Joe Mandel, subbing in for my guy, Adam Schaum, and John Santucci, the Tooch. Adam, not feeling good under the weather. Hope you feel better soon, my friend. And the Tooch is in the Philippines, so we're wishing you safe travels, my friend. Have a good time. And don't worry too much about fantasy football, but hopefully you can at least tune in and catch the replay of this if you want. But thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Since I haven't gotten any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Fantasy Football Goon. God bless America. Oh, we got one question in at the buzzer from Dan. This is going to be my last question I'm going to answer today. Pick 2, Sutton, Murray, Campbell. Well, I don't want to stick too much with the Denver Broncos. So if I'm going to pick one from the Broncos, by the way, I love both of the guys for the Broncos today. If I'm going to go with one, I'm going to pick Campbell. I'm going to pick Cortland Sutton today because I think he's going to have to get open against that horrible Carolina defense in the middle of the field. Love Cortland Sutton. And Paris Campbell, for me, is a league winner. The amount of targets he is getting right now, between 8 and 10 targets against bad defenses, which they are going up against one today. So here I would go with Sutton and Campbell, although I do love Latavius Murray to get a heavy workload. But that's it. That's the last question of the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Dan, thanks for the question. Adam, thanks for hanging out in the chat with me. Let me turn off this banner at the bottom of the screen before we get out of here. But as I was saying before, for Fantasy Football Goon, I'm Joe Mandel. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless America. God bless football. And let's kick some ass. See you guys next week. Go win your fantasy matchups. Adios. And I should probably roll the credits and not the opening. As that happened, Dan said, thank you. You're very welcome. We will see you guys next week. God bless America. God bless football. And let's go kick some booty. See you guys next week. See you guys. Bye-bye. Where did my open go? There it is. Bye.